A garage is more than just a place to park our cars, more than a refuge to work on them. It's the place where we work to get the job done right. Because in here, we work to leave things in better shape than we found them. And as it turns out, that's an idea that goes well beyond the garage doors too.
American cars and trucks use over 3 billion quarts of motor oil each year. That leaves a lot of used oil, but the exciting thing is that it's still an important resource that we can do much more with. Most of us dispose of used motor oil properly, but not all used oil finds its way to collection sites. The facts aren't clear, but past estimates suggested that every year, close to 200 million gallons of used oil may not have been disposed of in the right way. And when you realize that just 1 gallon of used motor oil can contaminate up to 1 million gallons of drinking water, we can see why recycling motor oil is so important right now.
There are many good reasons to recycle our motor oil. Recycled oil could help save close to 10 million barrels of crude oil from being dug up every year. Plus, it also preserves our natural resources from contamination. Recycling used oil protects our local ecosystems, our parks, our playgrounds, and our water. And it all starts with something as simple as returning used oil to a proper facility. When we see just how important this issue is, we realize that changing your oil is not just a phrase that only matters once every 3 or 4 months when we do an oil change. It's a fundamental call for a different course of action. And that's the key: action. So here's what we can do. Make recycled oil part of the solution. Recycle it.
I'm Matt, I'm 28. I don't really understand what happens to used oil. As far as I know, once it's drained, it's burned. To be honest, I don't really know what you could do with used oil.
I'm Roger, 24 years old. I changed my own oil, but I really don't know what you're supposed to do with it after it's drained. I always just figured it was trash.
This is typically where the motor oil life cycle ends. But it doesn't have to. Instead, it can be where oil recycling begins. The big surprise to most people is realizing just what an asset used oil still is, and what exactly it can be turned into.
The makeup of most motor oils is essentially 85% oil and 15% additives. The big myth is that the oil part breaks down inside the engine. The truth is that very few of the actual oil molecules break down. It's really the additives that wear out, which they do by design as contaminants build up. The vast majority of the oil molecules don't wear out at all. They simply need to be cleaned and re-refined.
So if we separate the additives and contaminants from the still good base oil, we can reuse it to make high-quality oil. That's exactly what today's modern re-refining processes do. Remove the contaminants and broken down additives to create base oils that are as good as the day they were first refined.
In the past, we weren't able to get high enough quality re-refined base oils to meet Valvoline's exacting standards. The most common process in the past was acid clay treatment. In this process, used oil comes into the re-refiner, is treated with acid, and then it undergoes a clay filtration. While this cleans up the oil reasonably well, it doesn't clean it up enough to meet Valvoline's exacting standards.
Over the years, new technology and new processes have transformed recycled oil. In fact, re-refining now uses the same processes as refining crude oil. It even produces the same results: motor oil that exceeds the tough standards set by the American Petroleum Institute.
When used oil is brought to a refining facility, it first undergoes a process called flash distillation to remove water, fuel, and other contaminants. Then it is treated to remove heavier metals and other particles. From there, the process is identical to refining crude. Hydrotreaters reduce nitrogen and sulfur and actually refresh the oil molecules. Then a final distillation removes the remaining contaminants and separates the oil into different grades.
But there are two major differences between refining crude oil and recycled oil: time and energy. Without having to find, drill, and extract crude oil, recycled oil actually saves energy, reduces emissions, and cuts fossil fuel consumption.
That means recycled oil has less of an environmental impact compared to refining crude oil.
This is the new oil recycling process. The result is a recycled oil that's every bit as good as new oil. It not only meets industry standards, but also meets the superior standards we set at Valvoline. The same quality, the same protection. Only this oil protects more than your engine. It also protects the environment. At Valvoline, what sets us apart is also what's allowed us to be the first national motor oil brand to create a quality recycled oil, our independence.
We have a heritage built on innovation. We're not owned by a big oil company, so motor oil is our main business. We don't drill and we don't own wells. Producing great motor oil is our primary concern.
Being an independent company means Valvoline is free to select the best oils available to make all our premium motor oils, including our recycled oil. We can be much more selective because we don't have to use oil that our parent company digs up.
If making great motor oil can come from a recycled source, all the better. We care about the impact of our products. Hey, we all share these parks and these playgrounds. We have to do our part to keep them clean. That's why we're so excited about NextGen, the first recycled oil that's 100% Valvoline quality.
What makes NextGen different from other recycled oils? Our standards. Believe me, we worked long and hard to build a recycled oil that's good enough for us to put the Valvoline V on it.
Not all re-refined oils are created equal. Just like refineries producing base oils from crude oil, re-refineries produce base oils at different quality levels. At Valvoline, we select only the best quality re-refined oils when we build NextGen. Taking this kind of care allows us to produce NextGen to a much higher standard, which makes the final product better for everyone. Not just meeting industry standards, but exceeding them.
Valvoline combines quality recycled oil in a formula with Valvoline special additives, giving NextGen quality that only Valvoline can deliver. It's quality so good that we stand behind it with our Valvoline Engine Guarantee Program.
When you add it all up, NextGen could have a huge environmental impact. In fact, if everyone used NextGen, we would save 1.6 billion quarts, or nearly 10 million barrels of oil annually. That's enough barrels of oil to reach from New York to Los Angeles and back again, every year. NextGen is just the beginning. Alone, it won't save the environment, but it's a step in the right direction. With recycling and teaching the next generation of technicians, engineers, and car guys about NextGen quality, we can reduce our dependence on crude and help the environment. The more everyone is aware just how recycled oil is made and what great quality it can be, the more everyone understands the impact it could have in helping to reduce our dependence on foreign oil and preserving our environment. And the more everyone can see what exactly goes into a product like NextGen, we're convinced the more everyone would be willing to help. And here's that chance. Just bring back your used motor oil to your local auto parts store and buy Valvoline NextGen. Because it's made with 50% recycled oil, you're closing the loop and helping to protect our environment and communities for the next generation. It's a simple way for us all to work together to do the right thing. Valvoline NextGen. Close the loop.